Hi, welcome. If this is your first time, this is Jessica Villarreal. I'm a foreign architect and I'm in the process to get architectural license in Florida, US. And today we have a special guest. Her name is Saakshi Terway. And this is my honor. I how much appreciate to connect with everybody, all the foreign architects or the architects being getting licensed here. This is motivation. I hope you learned so much for this interview. Welcome, Sakshi. It's a pleasure to have you. And please introduce yourself and tell us about a little bit about you so everybody can know you a little bit better and tell us your experience as a foreign architect.
Hi, Jessica. Thank you for having me here. Hello, everyone. I'm Saakshi Terway, designer at Quinn Evans. I'm originally from India, New Delhi. I did my undergrad there, 5-year BArch degree at Sri Mata Vaishno Devi University. Got licensed in India, worked there for a few years, after which I moved to Cincinnati to do my master's from University of Cincinnati. While I was there, I also did a secondary certification in sustainable landscape design, graduated in 2017, and moved to DC for my work. I was working with Winsec and Associates, a small firm based out of DC that focused on affordable housing. And I worked there for about 6 years, and then I switched, and I'm now working with Quinn Evans, and I work in their heritage and culture studio.
Okay, I love how Sakshi explained step by step since she get her degree, a master degree in Cincinnati, and then she moved to job and another job and another job. And I want to make a pause here. The other day, I was sharing with another colleague that they think when somebody showing the in the curriculum or the resume different jobs every 6 months or every 3 months they change jobs. I will say please check out deeper why the reason why that person changed job from another job and another job. Sometimes they have to just to protect themselves or simple like they didn't like the environment or something was wrong about it. But I do appreciate if the CEOs of the company or the HR people think more about this and interview the person deeper and not to judge. I will not interview this person because it's been changed every 3 months. I do believe that everybody have the reason, and it will be great to understand the reason why that person do that before to reject the paperwork and give the opportunity for interviews. I just want to talk a little bit about this before we move forward.
So for me, architecture was never planned. I never grew up with the idea that I want to one day become an architect. Uh, for me, it was fate. And a lot of stars had to align for me to be in this position to become an architect. But I am so glad that they did because now I cannot imagine myself being anything else. Um, but if I want to give credit to something, it would be the city that I grew up in, New Delhi. Um, it is a city where the modern and the historic architecture live in amalgamation. You have these 16th century, 15th century monuments coexisting with modern day architecture at the same time. And I think that quietly crept into my psyche, and just seeing how wonderfully all that can coexist kind of inspired me. and motivated me to pursue this path.
It's interesting. It's the first time I hear somebody say, I don't really, you say something like, I didn't pick architecture picked me. So
Exactly.
that's nice. That's a good statement right there. I'm glad you are in the path that you like it, that you figured it out and find out that that's the only thing, you see yourself doing for long term, which is fascinating. Okay. Also, you explained already your path of career experience and the steps, the years. Thank you so much for being very detailed. And so, tell us more about what you do with your family, what you enjoy the time, what you normally do to spend your free time with them.
Um, so for me, my friends and family are very, very important. I have always been that person. They are my strongest supporters, my cheerleaders, and I would be nothing without them. I'm one of those people who holds family and friends to the highest priority. They are my biggest cheerleaders, supporters, stress busters, and are the ones who constantly motivate me to do the things that I do. Um, I always make it a priority to, put time on the calendar to make sure I meet them, I see them, I make sure that I let them know how important they are to me, and sometimes life gets in the way, but for the most part, all my free time goes prioritizing them.
When she was talking about how much she appreciates family around and is her priority number one, it make me think about a lot of stuff. It come to my mom a lot of stuff in the moment, and it feels like I ask myself if I'm in the right direction. I'm coming from a very, very union family in Costa Rica, and all of them are there. My directly from Costa Rica, and another family are in California and other parts of the United States. But I'm going to invite you, and I will do the same for me, to ask yourself if you are in the position that work is take you over from all these beauty things, like join time with family. It's happening to me. I have been working for the last 10 years. Oh my God, 10 years in US, but I have been working since when I was 20 years old. And it's been like more than 20 years already. I don't care about saying my age. But if you are young, have a balance. Have a balance. And I understand the phrase that people use more often, hard work, you will see the results. But in the meantime, are you enjoy your life? In the meantime, are you spend time with family and give the family the time they deserve or you deserve with them? Because they're gonna go. They going, and time is so, like, it's going so fast. I just don't want to cry. I feel like inside like I don't want to cry. I miss my family so much. I'm gonna do something in 2025 to have that balance, and I hope you too. It's been working well until now. It's okay. He is traveling, so when he come back, he will hear me. Alrighty. Let me disconnect it from here. Okay, my next question, it will be, since this is a very sensitive topic in the social media, I really don't hear this too much, or NCARB or ISA. Not much people talk about money and costs and all we need to spend in order to get licenses specific. Um, we understand it's a cost, but tell us your experience about the career costs, you tell us a little bit that you have some support back in India from your parents, so that's wonderful. And but once you get to US, what happened?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I 100% agree with you. I wish more people were transparent and would be sharing their stories. I am more than happy to share that aspect of it, especially because I don't think I did my research well enough when I was going through that motion. Because the cost is not just the cost of education, it's not just the cost of degree, but there is a lot of additional cost of of cost of living, but then also the cost of professional development, which is not just your licensing, but many other certifications, which have now just become an industry standard. And then also organizations and their membership, because not every firm is considered enough to cover that cost. So it is just an ongoing cost of being an architect to maintain your licensure, to maintain your memberships, and to make sure that you are keeping yourself up to speed with the change. And I wish that I knew a lot of that going in. I don't think that would have made a difference in my decision, but I feel like it would have definitely prepared me better with in terms of mindset and in terms of savings.
From 9 foreign architects that I have been interviewed, 3 of them mentioned about planning. If you start your career or you start the transition to have your degree in US, finances plan is the best thing you can do. Let's keep going.
Savings. So for myself, I was, like you said, I was fortunate enough that my parents could cover the cost of tuition for me when I was back in India, and then also for the most part here. But something that not many people are aware of is most schools in USA have three tiers of cost of tuition, which is the in-state tuition fee, the out-of-state tuition fee, and the international tuition fee. And typically, the out of state tuition fee is double the in state tuition fee, and the international tuition fee is double the out of state tuition fee. So the international tuition fee ends up being four times the in state tuition fee. And while many students have the option of, even when they take on, um, they start the program as an out of state tuition fee on out of state tuition fee, after 6 months you can um, show your proof of residency and go to in-state tuition fee. But that option in most schools is not available to international students. So for the entire duration of your program, each semester you are paying four times to and again there are exceptions to all rules, but and there will be schools that don't follow this math, but for most of them you international students end up paying four times the in-state tuition cost for every semester.
I will say my take out of this situation is um I don't like to ask for costs and have everybody being scared to proceed or say that's too much money. You didn't mention any amount specific, but I will say like everybody's different. Some people have been paid 2,000, some people they paid 10,000 so far and they have not been done. My goal of this conversation is to let everybody knows like yes, it's a cost to get that done, but guess what, everybody get to the same conclusion. It's worth it. It's worth it because you get to the place you want to get as a professional. For me is a very personal professional goal. Some people is like, you know what, I don't care what I'm gonna do after. As soon as I pass, good. That's my goal, just pass. And they're like don't know what to do with, but the first step is pass. And yes, it costs. Oh, let me ask you, you mentioned about resources, this not profit organization. Who can apply for that?
So No, so Immigrant Architect Coalition is a nonprofit organization, like you said. It was co-founded by Graciela, Eunoch, and Shahad. I was one of the first people to join them. And I am now the secretary of the nonprofit. And we
Okay.
have a board of directors, and one of them you've already interviewed. So if anyone's interested, it can go and check out Gloria's podcast for that as well. And we have a lot of resources. We have already published two books. The first one being City Shapers, which is a collection of immigrant architects and designers and their personal stories and their journey of how they became architects. It's about 20 plus stories in there. The other book that we published earlier this year is Prospering in the USA, which is a handbook for immigrant architects, which goes over all information from getting over the culture shock or dealing with microaggression to mentoring to networking to job hunting and salary negotiation. So it kind of goes over everything that as immigrant architects we encounter in our journey here. Uh, and that book launched earlier this year in June. And those two resources are available. You can just go on our website and order those books today. And I
Okay.
think we've gotten a lot of feedback that that's been helpful. Yes, so I am currently in process of taking my AREs. I'm done with most of my exams. I have a few left. Hopefully soon, I will be done with that process as well. Uh, in my case, since I was coming here for my master's in a NAB accredited degree, I went through more of a conventional path of getting licensed. But what I'm really grateful for is a great licensing advisor that we had at University of Cincinnati. He was also in charge of the co-ops and professional development programs. So um, he was well acquainted with international students coming and not knowing where to even get started. So we were very fortunate that in our first semester itself, we had classes where they walked us through this whole process and what it meant to create a NAB account and how to document our AXPs. And they were very thorough, and that information still stays with me. And I often quote my professors and the resources they shared with my mentees as well. Um, since I had work experience in India, it was important for me to create an app account straight away and document those hours because as many of us or many of the listeners would already be aware, those hours tend to reduce with passing time. So if you're 6 months out, only 50% of them would count. And as the more time you spend, the less value those hours have. So
Right. I want to pause a little bit there. I'm going to explain a little bit because more people is watching these videos. For who doesn't know, part of the requirements to get a license is complete AXP hours. And that means you need to be supervisor. You need to have a supervisor license in US, right? Am I correct with that? Okay.
yes,
All right.
absolutely.
Yeah.
So there are two categories with your AXP hours. One
Yeah.
would go under, I believe, because when I was filling in my hours, it was still IDP. So I will definitely give a disclaimer here. Go on the NCARB's website to find the latest and greatest information.
Mm-hmm.
But when I was going through this process, there was a category A and a category O. And category A is where your hours are being approved by an architect who is already licensed in the US.
Mm-hmm.
And that is more straightforward. In my case, the time that I spent working in India, a lot of it fell under category O, which is
Oh.
others category, because it was signed off by architects who are licensed in their country, but not in the United States. So not
Mm-hmm.
all of my hours could count because there is a there is a cap to how many hours you can put under the others category.
Do you remember, we don't talk about salaries as a foreign architect. You don't have license. When you have license, things can change, but maybe in another company it's not the case. Do you remember your first annual salary as a foreign architect, like brand new, first company?
Yes, no, absolutely. And I'm happy to share that information because and here is where I share one more resource, which is very, very helpful to all international people. The Labor Department, they have a salary calculator, which is what they use to approve H-1Bs and green cards and any of the paperwork that gets done through your work. And they set a minimum for each city, for each designation. There is a minimum salary threshold that you need to meet. You can definitely like negotiate other aspects that matter to you. Like in some of the firms that I have friends in, I often hear that they've negotiated because they are at uh, leadership roles with different organizations, so they can negotiate the time that they take towards that, or that won't come out of the PTO, or they enjoy presenting at conferences, so they can negotiate those terms as well. And I'm not saying that every firm is open to it, but it is something that you can, if you won't ask, you won't get, right? So you can
Right.
definitely talk about it and negotiate. Like people who do podcasts can talk about, like in your case, I don't know if you've ever had this conversation, but you can definitely say, like, since you do interviews, having more flexibility of hours could be something you can negotiate, where you're like, fine, I might take 1 hour to do a podcast recording during the daytime, but I will, as long as I finish my 8 hours, I can get that flexibility, right?
Mm.
And those are some terms that you can definitely talk to your firm about and see if you can negotiate.
That's wonderful. And this is a topic for entire conversation another day, right? Because it's very important. I will tell you, be honest with you, I never check those websites. Like I'm working here for 10 years and I always been I'm in the beginning very intimidated, and whatever they offer me, I say okay because I thought that was what deserved, and I was like limited with my language as well. English is my second language, so it was like, yeah, I mean, it is what it is, but also. I do not think that anymore. I think I have experience already. I value my time, and I, I negotiate very different. What project stands out to you as the most memorable, and what made it so special?
I feel like I I can say that about every project that I work on, because each one has been so unique, and I have always taken home some part or some learning from each of those projects that makes me the designer, the architect I am today. Um, the one that I'm currently working on is very, very close to my heart, especially because it is an amalgamation of everything that I ever cared about, be it sustainability, be it adaptive reuse, be it historic preservation. But unfortunately, I can't talk much about that because it is an ongoing project. But I will talk about an past project of mine, which I worked at my previous firm. It is based out of DC. It is also featured in Beyond the Built Environment, DC, and it was on display at the Octagon Museum last year. And something that I loved about it is it is a while it's m- um, it is a multifamily housing and a mixed use development. It focused on grandparents and grandchildren. So
Mm.
it was low income housing for families that are unique in a way where the parents are out of the equation. So it is the grandparents taking care of the grandchildren. So now you're designing spaces for two groups that require assistance, but in very different manners, for senior citizens and then infants and toddlers. And just seeing that a space like that exists and people are even prioritize creating those spaces, because there were a lot of projects even when we were looking for precedents for such a project. There were a lot of projects, but they were all market rate. So there wasn't something that was easily affordable to the low income group based in DC. And seeing that come to life and just meeting, we did a lot of community development and outreach charrettes in between. So talking to those people that we're designing for, understanding their needs, understanding the need for such housing, and being able to give that to them has been a very rewarding process. It is difficult. It is not an easy process. I wish I knew how difficult it would be to move to a different country and become an architect. So I'm not going to sugarcoat that aspect at all, but I will guide them and say that do your research, highlight those aspects that I definitely felt were important milestones in my career. And there is some power to learning from other people's mistake. And that is where I am very open about my life and all the mistakes that I've made. So I was like, you don't have to make them. Here's what I learned in my process. So take it with a pinch of salt, but this is what I learned. But definitely will say don't hesitate in reaching out to people, talk to people, learn about their process, uh, learn what they experienced and what you can take from their experience. Because architecture is like our industry is built like an apprenticeship. People are the general expectation is that you learn on the go, right? You learn with experience. So that means you learn by making mistakes. But not all those mistakes need to be yours, right? So if you talk to people, you reach out to people, you learn about things, you be more aware about things, that prepares you better for any of the situations you encounter. But in a more tangible sense, I would say make mentors. It's never too early to have mentors. You don't have to have just one mentor. Make as many mentors or reach out to as many people as you can and get advice and make your own informed decision. And other than that, since we spoke a lot about finance today
Mhm.
and cost, I would definitely say that start saving. Uh, and I'll tell you from my own personal experience, my first internship, we had the option of enrolling interns in the 401k program. And at that time, I was like, wait, I don't even know if I'm going to be in the country long term. Like, I don't know if I want to enroll myself in this program till I know that I am in a more permanent position here. And I wish I could go back in time and tell myself, like, it is never too early to start saving. It is never too early to enroll yourself in a 401k program. Worst case scenario, if you move back to your country or if you move to another country, you can always come and cash out on that. And I'm sure I'm not using the technical term for it, but there is always a way out. But having those pockets of savings is always good. So, to make the most of those opportunities if you come across them.
I really appreciate your time. Thank you for being here with me. And I wish you the best with your career. And we're going to connect soon.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. This has been wonderful. I really appreciate you reaching out.
Hey, hi! Can you do me a favor? If you like this video, please give it a like or subscribe and share with others. This is about foreign architects, and we tell you our stories, how we came to US or get licensed in US. Please subscribe and share.